car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
And welcome to the Frontier Motor Show here on News Talk 1370 WCOA. This is Talk at 10, or the Frontier Motor Show. You're welcome to call Iven Streckel if you'd like to get the price of a car, truck, or an SUV that you're thinking of buying or selling or trading in. How would you do that? 478-3116. 478-3116. He will be happy to take your phone call. I will see that it happens. 478-3116. Good morning, Iven.
Hey, Don. Thanks so much. And this is a live call-in show on 1370. With Don and I have been doing this show going on 20 years now. That's a long time. And it is a long time. I think when Don started, he was 50. Now he's 70. Not to say I should be broadcasting how old Don is, but
true. 70 this year.
70 years old. Holy macaroni. Mm-hmm. We also have almost for the last 10 years have been videotaping this for our Blab TV customers on satellite and on cable. So if you're watching this on TV, this is not a live show, but if you're listening to it on the radio, it is. And one of the reasons that we bring you the show is to give the people in the Pensacola area a place to go when they're in the car business. I shouldn't say when they're car business, but when they're in the mode of perhaps buying a used or a brand new car, there's a dealership in Pensacola that's here to give you very good advice to make sure that you're making the right decision on the car that you're purchasing as far as reliability, which car is a good car and bad car. But I think most importantly also to make sure that you don't pay too much. And I don't want to use the term that you get ripped off because that almost makes it seem like I'm saying there's rip-off artists out there. But, if you've got 133 dealers in the Pensacola area and half of them are really good, you got about 70 of them that aren't so good. So which one's which? We don't really know. So what we want to do is get the word out that there is an honest car dealership that's going to give you the right advice. And that doesn't mean you've got to buy the car from us. What we want you to do is call Frontier Motors and say, hey, my neighbor's got a car for sale, and this is what it is, and this is how much he's asking, and this is the ID number. What we're going to do for you is we're going to run the ID number into the Carfax and the Auto Check reports, which are the two largest provider of history reports in the nation. So we're going to run the Carfax and the Auto Check. We're going to tell you if it's good or bad. By the way, these are pretty expensive. If you ran both of those, it would cost you almost $70 just for one report if you run both history reports. We do it for no charge. Also, when we do that, our computer that we use spits out an average selling price in our area. And then it'll also lead to my inventory to see if there's anything that we have that's like the vehicle that your neighbor's got for sale. If there is, we can use ours as an example. Doesn't mean you have to buy ours. But if, for example, your neighbor's got a 2016 Impala for sale with 30,000 miles on, and I happen to have two of them in stock, you can use our price to make sure that he has got the right price on his. And it's the same thing if you're buying a car from a used car dealership in Pensacola. If you found a car, do not sign until you call Frontier Motors. Give us the ID number, the mileage, and the equipment of the car. Obviously, hopefully, you'll already have seen the car so you know the condition of the car. Condition has a lot to do with price, which sometimes people don't look at because a lot of times people are fixed to one thing, and that is the internet. And they'll see one car for sale that's the least expensive one in the country. Of course, that's the one they're going to use as an example, which that car might be in very below average condition. Now, a couple of things that we do on the radio show here. Number one, we want to let you know that we do have pricing, and the pricing that we use is a little bit different than you get on the internet. One of the pricing books that we use is the NADA guidebook, and this guidebook has been around for years. When we first moved to Pensacola 22 years ago, the book that I used and I was used to using was the Kelley Blue Book. Now it's the NADA guidebook. The reason we use this book is because our bankers, credit unions, and very importantly, a lot of our insurance companies use this for replacement value. Doesn't mean that's what you pay. That's where the other book comes in, which is a wholesale guidebook. And the information here is compiled from all the auctions in the nation, all the Manheim auctions in the nation. And that goes into a book. Of course, we get it on the internet now. I don't really even subscribe to the book anymore. But I can look on the internet and see what the cars are actually physically going through at the auction in below average condition, above average condition. And that's how I can base my pricing to you to see if the books are high or low. If the banker books out your car for $20,000, is that what you should pay? Because that's what the book value is. And there's a lot of things that make up the price of a car. One of them I said before was condition. Obviously, that's very important. A lot of people walk away from a car if it's not good in condition. The problem is you can't see that till you see the car. You can't see it on the pictures. The other thing is also the color of the car has a lot to do with it. And a lot of times when you buy a car brand new, the colors are all the same price. The only ones that might be a little bit more would be if you have a pearl-coated color. I remember Cadillac years ago came out with a tri-coat color, and that was maybe $500 more, and I think they had that in a pearl white and a pearl gold. But other than that, all the other colors were the same price. But I'll tell you what, if you buy a purple car with a pink interior, do you think that have a little bit to do with the price of the color of the car? Do you think, Don?
Yes, I will recall a used car dealer that had, what did he call that? The basketball interior. I'm not mentioning any names.
Yeah.
He loved the car. Customers didn't feel that way.
Yeah, this was years ago when that color was kind of obnoxious.
Yeah.
Actually, Don, that basketball color, kind of brownish orange interior is very popular these days because people are looking for something different. But back, I'm talking about 15 years ago, I bought a Nissan Murano. It was brown with that basketball color interior. And I'm telling you, I only lost about $3,000 on that car. And I was happy that's all I lost because I couldn't get anybody to buy that car. I bought it very cheap. I hate to use the word cheap, but I bought it. Let's say it was a $20,000 car. I paid $15,000 for it. I think I ended up selling it for $12,000 because of the color. The condition was great.
Yeah.
It was a lower mileage car. There was nothing wrong with the car, clean history report, but nobody could stand the color. So color has a lot to do with it. So, and a lot of times we'll sell a car, and I tell a customer, because you'll say, well, I found one over in Mobile and it's $800 cheaper. And my first thing is, well, then why didn't you buy it? Well, I don't like the color. I like the color better. Well, it has a lot to do with it, folks. One of the things that we pride ourselves in at Frontier Motors is selling the car, the good color, in great condition for less than the competition. That's our goal. Worst comes to worst, if we're not any less than the competition, we're going to have a lower mileage car in better condition with more equipment in a better color. Those are all the things that make up a purchasing decision when you are in the market. Now, one other thing is when you are in the market, even if it's going to be a brand new car, which last year was a record, by the way, 17.5 million people bought new cars last year. And the year before, in 2015, 17.4 million people bought brand new cars. And Don, as I always say, they must not be listening to the show because it's our job to talk them out of doing that. But if you are going to buy a brand new car, folks, I've got the new car cost guides right here. When you look at Consumers Reports, in the back of Consumers Reports, they have an easy way of shopping for a new car by selling you an invoice for $14.95. I can sell you an invoice at no charge. Of course, that's not really selling.
No, it isn't.
That's not. But it's the new car cost guides, folks, so I can tell you what the dealer paid. And if you know what the dealer paid, it's so much easier to streamline your purchasing decision by making them a reasonable offer.
And if you would like to learn more about that or any other offer, call us. Call us right now, 478-3116. Iven Streckel, who is the owner of Frontier Motors, is also the host of this show on Talk at 10 here on News Talk 1370 WCOA. He will be pleased to answer your questions, whether you want a price or just have a question or a comment about the used car business. One more time, 478-3116.
I went to the mailbox yesterday, Don, and I got my new Consumers Reports, and it's the auto edition. I love this. Comes out annually, folks, and this is so cool because, well, maybe you don't think it's cool. Me being in the car business, I think it's pretty cool because the first thing they talk about is the best and the worst. I don't like dwelling on the worst, but I love looking at the best of new and used cars. So they rate not only the new cars, but also the used cars. Great values across the brands, which cars get the best gas mileage. They review 245 cars. I read this from cover to cover to get an idea of one of the things I like doing is finding out what's new. There are actually some new cars in here that I've never even heard of. But Don, before we get onto that, do we have a call?
We do. This is Ann.
Hey, Ann, thanks for calling the Frontier Motor Show. How can we help you?
Hi, Ivan. I had a question. I have a new driver in my family, and they've lived in an urban environment and never needed to drive a car. So this will be the first car they get. And we were thinking a Subaru, and we wanted to know, would you put them, if you had to choose between a Forester and an Outback, which would you prefer?
Well, it's difficult because they're not the same type of cars, as you probably know, Ann, from looking at. The Forester is less expensive than an Outback. And I had a customer the other day. Matter of fact, I've got one of our customers that was recommended to see me at Frontier Motors. And she came in and she says, Ivan, I want a green Forester. So I started looking for a green Forester. And then she called me up about a week later. I hadn't found it yet. And she said, hold everything. I decided to go with an Outback. I said, what made you go with an Outback? She says, I drove it. So there was obviously, and she'd driven a Forester before that. So there's obviously, and I didn't drive them side by side, Ann, but this might be something that if you go up to Billy Anderson Subaru and let's say they have a Forester and Outback there, have them drive both of them, because there's obviously enough of a difference for my customer to say, get the Outback. And the Outback, if I remember right, I don't have my books with me right now on the Outback or what I quoted them, but I believe there was about a $3,000 price difference. So the Outback is more expensive than the Forester. Both cars are recommended by Consumer Reports of being the top of the top. Matter of fact, before you called, Dan, I was going to go into the top cars out there, and the Forester is actually rated the top brand to buy. They have the top 10 is what they call it, and the Forester made that, and I don't know if the Outback did. Matter of fact, while I got you on the phone, let me look at it, because I was just going to mention it before you called, and it's called the top.
Thank you.
It's called the Top 10 Consumers Reports, and I'm going to bore you a little bit because I'm not going to dwell just on the Subarus, but the number one sports car was the Miata. The number one family sedan was the Impala. The number one luxury SUV was an Audi Q7. The Prius was the best hybrid car. The Honda Ridgeline, the best pickup truck. And then the Highlander was rated the best midsize SUV. And then the Subaru Forester was rated the best. I guess they put that in a small SUV category, and so the Subaru Forester is a small was rated the best small SUV. And they say the price is tested. They tested one here. It was a brand new one. The price was $27,145. So I think either one. If obviously budget is a concern, Ann, I would recommend they go with the Forester. Top rated car, drives really good. But it's hard. It's hard when you look at that. It's almost like looking at a Chevy Malibu and an Impala. The Impala is a little bigger, rides a little bit nicer, but also is $3,000 more. So it's almost the same correlation.
Okay, well, basically we needed reliability where it wouldn't break down on them. That was a concern as well.
Any
Subaru
would make that.
Okay,
yep.
Good.
Thanks,
All right.
Ann.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
And obviously, one of the things that is my job is when they come in to, I have them both there, by the way. I have an Outback and a Forester, so I'm not trying to send them to Anderson Subaru. If they're going to buy a brand new one and I can't talk them out of it, that's where I would send them is to Billy Anderson over on 29. It's our local Subaru dealership. Now, I always urge everybody, if they're going to buy a car, keep the money in Pensacola.
And what
if
a
possible.
Great guy.
Yeah, he is.
He is really a
really nice guy. And Billy, like a lot of the new car dealerships, they do a lot for our community. Sponsor softball teams, basketball teams, football teams, give a lot of money to charity. And that's why I always urge you that, let's say you found one outside the area and it's $500 less. Just talk to Billy and tell him, hey, I found one over here. It's a little less. I want you to come down to that price and I'll buy it from you. And I can't imagine that they wouldn't do that. So a very good place to go. We are the alternative to new. And Ann, if you're still listening, my whole claim to fame at Frontier Motors, of course, is to try to save you a bunch of money. And Consumer Reports last year put in writing the first time they've ever heard this. They have a graph on page 21 in April's edition, and they have a graph that says that the first year depreciation is 27% on a new car. That's quite a bit. The average selling price of a new car in 2016 was $34,000, and the average depreciation, if you bought it last year and you traded it today, you're going to lose about $9,200 on the average. Now, that's not in every car. Subaru actually has a pretty good resale value, so I am not going to tell you that a Subaru depreciates $9,200. But what if it only depreciates $7,200? That's still a lot. And, of course, if I mark the car up a couple of $1,000 or even $3,000, you'd still save somewhere between $4,000 and $5,000 on a one-year-old car with very low miles, still under factory warranty, over the price of a new one. And that's where we come in to tell you what that savings is going to be. We've got cars in stock that are almost like brand new. I got a Honda Odyssey on the lot with 10 miles. It's pretty new. I got an Avalon we bought on Thursday, a limited Avalon, which is the top of the line with navigation, the blind spot. If you're going to buy a brand new one, Bob Tyler's our local new car dealership. I've got one in stock with 19 miles, not 1,900, not 19,000, 19 miles on it. I got a Highlander, Toyota Highlander, a 17 with 300 miles on it. You get the drift. I don't want to bore you. I got hundreds of these type of cars in stock. That's what we do at Frontier Motors with having 400 cars. Half of them are going to be low mileage cars that are competition to the new car dealerships, and the other 200 are the ones that we take and trade or purchase from private individuals that we can sell. And I strive always to have 50 or 60 cars on the lot I can sell under $10,000. $50,000, that's quite a bit. There's a lot of lots in Pensacola don't even have 50 cars.
Yeah,
much less
exactly
have them,
right.
Much less let's have them under $10,000. So when I was talking with Ann, we talked about the top 10 cars. I didn't list all of them because I stopped at the Forester, but I mentioned the Toyota Prius, the best hybrid car. The Chevy Cruze is the best compact car, and the Toyota Yaris is the best subcompact car, which is the smallest car. The midsize sedan was the Kia Optima. We talked about the Forester, which is really cool.
What's the criteria here? Reliability when you say best?
No, I'm going to tell you. That's a good question. The best new cars of 2017 are outstanding all-around performers.
Oh, okay.
Shown to be reliable, safe, and satisfying. They use customer satisfaction from the prior year to rate the new cars that are coming out, as long as it's not a new car that's never been tested.
Does price enter into this?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, that's not true. I believe it's got to be an average price of under $30,000.
Oh, okay.
An average. Now that throughout the whole program, so you don't have a Lexus. But made number 2, 100% of the Porsche products are recommended by Consumers Reports. There's not a lot of vehicles out there that have 100%. The other one that is 100% recommended by Consumers Reports was a brand new. This is news to me. Is BMW. I never I'm talking about 15 years ago, was not a fan of BMW. I love our local dealership. They got a great service department, but the cars after they got 60 to 80,000 miles on it were just crappy cars. They just fell apart. Not anymore, folks. I'm going to tell you right now that reliability is average, still not above average, is average, but 100% recommended by Consumers Reports in the BMW lineup. Lexus is number 4, Subaru number 5, Kia number 6 is Kia. Mazda, nobody knows about Mazda. Mazda has above average reliability along with Kia. Mazda's a sleeper. 100% of all Mazda products are recommended by Consumers Reports. And because nobody knows about Mazdas that much, they're actually a bargain because I can buy them for less money than I could buy a Subaru or obviously a Lexus. But I'm talking about if you're looking at Hyundai, Kia, Mazda, Mitsubishi, the Mazda's the least expensive one. After that was Tesla. We're not going to talk about Tesla because there's no Tesla dealers anyways. I sold one Tesla so far. Honda is number 9. Buick's number 10. Toyota's number 11. Isn't that something? Buick beat Toyota. Hyundai number 11, so on, so on, so on. So I don't want to bore everybody, but I've got the information right here, folks, and I just want you to know that when you're in the market for a car, what we do at Frontier Motors is not just sell cars. Obviously, that's our goal. But the number one thing that we want is to make lifelong, lasting friendships with the people that visit Frontier Motors. Now, you'll notice I didn't say the people that buy from Frontier Motors. I'm just talking about the people that visit. We have a lot of people that visit Frontier Motors to get advice and they buy somewhere else. But you know what happens when they do that? They like the fact that we're honest and we tell them if it's a good deal somewhere else, go ahead and buy it. And you know what happens? They send us their relatives, their friends, their neighbors, people they work with to buy the next car. Because people say, well, where would you go to buy a car? Well, I bought one over here, but I would recommend Frontier Motors. Well, why would you recommend them if you didn't buy a car? Well, they didn't have exactly what I was looking for. I wanted a brand new one. They didn't have the right color. There's always a reason, but it's not because of the way we do business. And people hate buying cars for 2 reasons. Number 1, they hate spending the money. But number 2, they hate the process. You know how that goes, that back and forth. You meet the salesman, they're all standing around. They get all your information. They get your driver's license and everything. They get your phone number before they even ask you what you're looking for. And then they ask you stupid questions like, what are you interested in? How much you want to spend? What's your budget? How much do you want for your car? What do you want your payments to be? At Frontier Motors, we don't do business like that. Number 1, we unlock every car every morning so you can shop at your leisure. A lot of people shop on Sundays. You know why? I know why. Because there's no salesman to bother you. So what we do is we unlock every car every morning so you can shop by yourself if you want. Now, a lot of people don't have the time to do that. When you have 400 cars to look at, it takes a long time. When you walk the huge lot that we have, we've got about 8 acres of cars right there. So what we do is we have our salespeople kind of point you in the right direction. And our salespeople can help you, not to make a purchasing decision, but to help you make a decision which car suits you best. And that's why we unlock the car so you don't have to run back and forth for keys. What if you're shopping on your lunch hour? You only got 50 minutes. You got 10 minutes to eat at McDonald's and 50 minutes to shop for a car. At Frontier Motors, you can shop a lot of cars. It's almost like coming to a car show. A lot of people like that because if you're looking for a mid-size SUV, you're not sure what you're looking for, we have them all. We have the BMW, the Audi, the Infiniti, and then we have the domestics. If you want the Ford or the Chevy, the GMC, we've got them all lined up right there. You meet one salesman, not 15, if you're looking at 15 different cars. And by jumping behind the wheel, you can eliminate so many cars that they don't fit you properly, especially if you're short or tall. I know it sounds kind of funny, but if you're short, if you're 5 feet tall and you can't reach the pedals, that might be a knockout factor, right?
And if you're your former partner's size, you're probably not going to be real happy with a Miata.
One of my friends was looking at my Jaguar that I drove.
Right.
And he says, I love that car. You can't buy it. Why not? I can't fit in it.
Yeah.
It's not a convertible. Of course, you want to be able to drop the top once in a while, but he's 6'4", and he just physically can't fit in the car. So it's a knockout factor. So isn't it nice to just be able to sit in the car and say, yeah, I like this one, but I don't like this one. And the next thing we look at, of course, a lot of times comes to price. If you got a $30,000 budget, but the car is $40,000, we're going to steer you to the $30,000 car so you're not looking at a car that's over your budget. And I know people can revise their budget. I have that happen a lot where people come in and say, I'm looking for an Equinox. They drive out with a Highlander because they liked it enough that they paid the extra. But I never know who you are. So I try not to get people mad at me that if they're looking for a $20,000 car, that we're going to show them a $30,000 car. Now, the nice thing about coming to a lot like Frontier Motors, we have them all lined up there. So when you point at that one and say, well, what about that one? That looks really nice. I can tell you right off the bat, give you a price sheet so you even know what the price is. So it doesn't take a long time to either eliminate the vehicle or maybe revise your budget if the vehicle works for you.
If you'd like to give us a call, we can arrange that by answering your phone call at 478-3116. This is the Frontier Motor Show here on Talk at 10 on News Talk 1370 WCOA Pensacola. Iven Streckel is your host. I'm your button pusher and phone answerer. By all means, take advantage of his years of knowledge in the car business. Frontier Motors is located at 230 Beverly Parkway, but right now, the brain trust is right here. 478-3116. That's our phone number for another, 10 minutes or so. We'd be happy to hear from you.
A couple of services that we offer at Frontier Motors at no charge. We talked about this earlier in the show, that we run the Carfax and the auto check reports. Always do both. You want to do both of them. Most dealerships subscribe to one or the other. I'm living proof of that. When we first started, all I had was auto check. Then about 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, we jumped on the Carfax bandwagon because people would say they show me the Carfax. Well, we had auto check. That worked for a while, but I said, let's go ahead and spend the money and get both of them. We pay one subscription price. I can run as many as I want. And that's why I advertise to you that if you found a car from a dealership that won't give you a free one, a lot of dealerships won't. I see this all the time on Auto Trader where you click on Show Me the Carfax and it goes to the Carfax website and it's $49 for a Carfax report, which is crazy. Any dealer does that, I'd be ticked off at them, because they make you buy them. Well, if you don't want to buy them, then you don't get to see it. Well, you do get to see it for free. Just give us the ID number from that dealership link. I'll not only tell you what it says, I'll tell you what to pay. And if they don't drop the price down to what I'm telling you, we'll sell you a car exactly like that for that price. We normally have them in stock. If not, it takes me a week or two to get you the car, depending how specific you are. So that's one service that we offer is a free Carfax report. The other thing we talked about already is the free appraisals, which means that if you're going to buy a brand new car, let's say you're going to go to Lexus Mobile and you've got an F-250 pickup truck that's a 2015 model with 20,000 miles on, you bring it to Frontier Motors, we scan the ID number, and we'll give you a price on that car within a couple of seconds. And we buy a lot of cars from private individuals. And a lot of times people call up and they think it's a scam because I've got outside buyers that if you put an ad in the paper, or if you put an ad on Craigslist or eBay, we'll call you up and say, hey, I'm a representative of Frontier Motors. And we get so many people that say, I thought it was a scam. But you know what, it's not. Matter of fact, I brought a testimonial from one of our customers we bought a car from recently that I was going to have Don read if he's got the time to do it.
He does. He absolutely does. This is from Sam. And Sam says, I sold my 2013 Toyota Highlander to Frontier Motors. I needed to sell it, even though it was an absolute cream puff, loaded and in mint condition, but I had little interest from buyers. CarMax offered me $22,000. Frontier Motors offered me $24,500. I drove it there in a half an hour. They handed me a check, and I was done. Also, Monroe, assume he means Monroe Watley, you're one of your sales managers, with whom I dealt, was remarkably courteous. The office hummed with peace and harmony. Who ever heard that in a used car place? Yeah. Can you trust them? Absolutely. And you will be treated in a gentlemanly, polite manner. It's unlike any experience I've ever had with any car dealer, and that's signed by Sam.
That's pretty good. And one of the things that I'm talking about, folks, if you're going to buy a brand new car, you bring your trade-in to us and let us appraise it for you. And what we're going to do is give you a buy bid. We're not going to tell you this is what they should give you for it and try to screw up their deal. What we're going to do is tell you, here's what I'll write you a check for, whether you buy a car from me or not. And I'll tell you what, if that figure is more than the dealer you're dealing with, they're not treating you right. Because if anything, if you're going to be, let's use Lexus, I'm hoping they're not listening to the show, Ron, but let's use Lexus Mobile as an example, and you go over there and you've got a Lexus you're going to trade, and I've already appraised it for $20,000, and they offer you $18,000 for it. Well, that's not right. If you're going to spend $50,000 with them, shouldn't they offer you more than what I'm offering you if you're not buying a car from me? So I always use that as an analogy. And now, what you can do also, because they're going to talk you into trading it because of tax purposes, you pay less taxes when you trade, you can have the best of both worlds. Trade it in over there, and I'll buy it right from that dealer for $20,000, so you get the tax credit and you get the higher appraisal. Let's say you're doing the Dave Ramsey thing and you're going from a 3-car family down to a 2-car family, or 2 down to 1, or you got a company car, or you got a car sitting in the garage. I had this the other day with a customer with a Corvette. It's like a 5-year-old Corvette with 10,000 miles on it. He says, I just don't drive it, and it goes down in value every year. Bring it to us. Let me appraise it. I can write you a check just like we did for Sam. Take the tag off, cancel the insurance, and you're done. Makes it so easy, especially for people that don't know if they're getting a good deal on a car. They kind of hate that, having that trade-in, because Consumers Report says, make sure you're getting a good deal on a new car, and don't tell me you have a trade-in, and then throw the trade-in afterwards. They almost tell you to lie to the dealer about not having a trade. Well, you don't have to do that. Just bring the trade to us. If I can't give you enough money on the check, I'll put it on consignment and sell it for you. We do that. So I normally give you a little bit more money on consignment because I don't have to tie up my cash. So we make it very, very simple. Now, we've only got 2 minutes left, so I'm going to let you know that we have a great website, frontiermotorsinc.com, and we have almost 400 cars in inventory. Another truckload or two coming in, so we're going to have over 400 cars. 31 detailed photographs. They all have pricing. We've got, this show can be watched on YouTube. So if you just go on YouTube, put in Frontier Motors, you're going to see my ugly mug, and we're going to have half-an-hour shows. Probably the last 3 or 4 shows are going to be on there. We also have the great Facebook. So like us on Facebook and leave some comments if you've ever been to the dealership, and maybe give us some good Google reviews like Sam has. I really appreciate people giving us some feedback. And folks, if you ever have any bad feedback from Frontier Motors, make sure you leave a message for me. This is Iven Streckel or Todd Gordon, our sales manager. And we're going to make sure that if there's anybody that's ever done anything wrong, we're going to make it right. But the only way we know that is if you let us know. So let us know if there's anything we can help you with. And again, we are the home of free advice. That's Frontier Motors at 230 Beverly Parkway. Let us sell you, well, I don't want to say sell you a car. What I like to advertise is people come to Frontier Motors to pick out a car. And there's a difference between picking one out and being sold one. We make it very easy for you. There's no pressure. We'll let you make a decision, and we're one of the few dealerships that will give you a price in writing with everything included so you can compare it to the competition. And I always say if the competition doesn't give you that price, you come back to Frontier Motors and buy the vehicle from us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay. Come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier. We've got the right price. Frontier. We'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors. Low overhead.